With the defeat of Honoric's army, the rightful ruler of Earthmancast has returned to his throne. But even as the people of the city celebrate, evil stirs in the bowels of all. Denizens of the Rift have captured allies that the lord of the city holds dear, and he must set forth to venture their escape. This might seem like an impossible task, but he is no mere man. He is Avenger. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in quality. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. We're still on Book 6, Inferno, and here we are back at section 415. After last week's exploratory debacle, I think we're ready to continue, and we can reach this point in the book without a single dice roll, bizarrely. So, we've entered the rift, Foxglove is with us, and now that I've mentioned a single dice roll, I've probably jinxed it, but we'll see how it goes. And we're down on the first layer. The nearest stairway is crumbling and unused, and the steps are half eroded in places, but you make your way steadily down into the gloom. After half an hour's climb, in which time you have seen no living creature, you come to a gallery that caves served. You come to a gallery of caves, served by many tunnels and paths cut into the side of the canyon wall. You have reached the first tier and are already in a twilight world. You touch the torch of Lumen and it casts a gentle glow about you. You will need its eerie light from here on. Let's ignore section 268 there as we go to 267. 268 is one we shall avoid. You instruct Foxglove to follow you quietly at an interval of 20 paces. She seems as frightened of you as of the denizens of the rift, and does exactly as you ask. You look back often to make sure that she is all right. Note that Foxglove is following you. She is indeed. That's a note we may eventually get to remove. Caps lock's on because I was playing Skyrim and it's the walk toggle. And it doesn't toggle across saves either, even really more annoyingly. So if you load a save, it doesn't remember the walk toggle from that save. It just pays attention to if caps lock is on or not. Which means it's keylogging, which is technically illegal. But anyway, let's continue. The Gallery of Caves is enormous. There are storerooms, mostly plundered, and a forge and an armory, both deserted, but further down you can hear sounds of life. There is a certain amount of growling and wailing, and much low chatter in guttural complaining voices. The sounds are familiar as those of a slum. Here the refuse, the helpless or foolishly scrupulous inhabitants of the rift are forced to eke out their days. Here they are closest to the danger of crusaders, madmen like the paladin Doré le Jeune, who come to the bowels of Orb to attempt to slay evil beings indiscriminately, or to the many renegade orcish tribes who do not obey the Black Widow. You decide to take to the tunnels and descend to the next tier of the chasm's edge. We just got a flash of the Chaos Bringers there on the left. Don't worry. If all goes well, we'll be seeing them this episode. If you were spotted on the roadway that leads down into the rift, no, we were not. We avoided that hazard completely. Otherwise, we do get to continue. Excellent. We've had 267, 257, 277 in rapid succession. So we're getting the repeating numbers again. You duck into the tunnel before anyone else notices you, and creep onwards, taking care always to descend towards the second tier. 417 is in close proximity to where we started at 415. Interesting as we dance around the pages are, but we did get to turn the page, so that's something. Many tunnels converge on a cavern where you make out a fresco that chills your blood. It shows a great web of a Black Widow spider, identifiable by the scarlet hourglass shape on its back, testing all the lines of the web with her legs. At each extremity is a smaller version of her, crawling over some poor unfortunate, orc, dark elf, or human. Even an old one is shown trying in vain to free itself from a silken web. Another fresco shows a paladin in full armour, but without helm. He is being assailed by the small spiders which seem to be creeping into his ears, nose, and, as he screams, his open mouth. What a horrific piece of foreshadowing, and I'm glad that it's included. It's not just a warning. Right, it's a warning if you haven't played the adventure before, and if you have, it's a, oh yeah, moment. The tunnel you are in is joined by several others and then winds down steadily into the depths of Orb. Soon you are down to the more populous second tier. Here complete villages and towns exist, trading with one another, mining and raiding each other for slaves and booty. You will have to start going even more carefully. So be it then. Countless tunnels diverge in all directions at this level. Finding your way if you keep to the smaller tunnels will be difficult. If you take the broader tunnels, you run the greater risk of being spotted. We could try and find a disguise to bluff our way down to the lower tiers, but that has the nasty side effect of getting Foxglove killed, or us ending up at the Chaos Bringers without the adventuring party at our side, who are automatically at our side at the beginning of Book 7, and their presence doesn't make much sense if they weren't there with us in this one. So we will rely on stealth. We are very sneaky, and if Foxglove follows us, we're essentially scouting ahead. And she's actually pretty sneaky herself. There is a choice of tunnels ahead of you. A small tunnel branches away deep into the rock, away from the direction of the cavern, and a wider tunnel, which has rusty rails at one side of it, leads gently downwards and ahead. Now, I need to remember, because there's I think the smaller one leads down to the place, the Great Cathedral, where we don't want to go. So 210, and if I take a wrong turn, I'll just come back here and go the other way. So 319, we'll know pretty soon if we... Yeah. The tunnel curves gently for about half a kilometre before you see any sign of another soul. The torch of Lumen looks like an ordinary brazier now. It is inside an illusion cast upon it by your father's most powerful magician, which would have been really helpful to mention earlier when we were cautious that it would attract attention to us. Its light shows a small, ill-favoured orc who has been walking towards you, bowed low under the weight of a bundle of faggots he has been carrying. He stares at you for a few moments, then begins to back away, dropping the bundle of faggots. We absolutely have all 5 shuriken and wish to use one. Make a shuriken roll. Oh, here we go. 9. Excellent. And shuriken... we have not listed. Okay, book 5 doesn't have the rules in the front. Book 4 does. Glad I remembered. Okay. So not here. So yeah, it is. You will be given a defense number for your target. We are not given a defense number for our target. Fortunately, I have the reprint to hand. So, first off, let's see if it's the same number. Make an attack roll against defense 5. If you're successful, turn to 207. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? Book 6. Errata. There we go. I should probably make a note of, at certain sections, turn to, yeah, in the physical as well on the errata. But for now, we're good. I was going to use my Lone Wolf campaign file instead of the Grimscar campaign file, but for some reason it's broken. Fortunately, it should be fairly easy to recreate. Right, well that was a very successful roll. If you miss, the orc stoops to pick up the throwing star as he runs away across it, so if we succeed, we may get to keep it. Interesting, as we previously in the earlier books were always instructed to remove them when used. The shuriken fells the orc and you pull it out of the warm body so it can be used again. So in this case, we definitely get to keep it because we were instructed otherwise. No one else disturbs you as you progress down the tunnel, and then we turn to the dreaded section 52. And I just need to move something that's in my way. One moment. Here we go. That was an inconvenience. I was unpainted miniature at the edge of my mouse mat was just getting in the way of the mouse as I was scrolling up and down a little bit too much, so I've moved it now. It's unpainted, so it doesn't matter if the mouse touched it a few times, it just touched the edge of the base, you know. Right. Soon you have left the second tier far above. For several hours you continue to descend without being challenged. The only thing of note which you pass on the way is the scene of a battle. 3 dark elves and as many orcs lie dead on a stone landing. One was killed while running away, but they seem to have been fighting on the same side. A scroll has been discarded nearby, its magic spent, but to your surprise you recognize it as a scroll that carries the blessings of Gauss, Enchanter of Arms, patron of sages who took up the sword and fought on the side of good when the Pantheon descends to Orb itself to do battle, many thousands of years ago. There are no other clues as to who joined battle against your enemies, the Dark Elves and the Orcs, but there is a vile and noxious gas lingering in the hallway which almost makes you vomit. Judging by the arrows that lie on the floor or have pierced bodies, they attacked from a side passage. We will absolutely take that side passage, although we may need to refer to a physical book here. Let's see how it goes. Imagined. Okay, so far so good. Oh, new book turn to 401, old book turn to 208. A section which has been moved to another portion of the book, but is otherwise, I imagine, identical. This passage too begins to descend and then become a twisting stairway. For several hours you follow its tortuous twistings down to the 3rd tier. Your nerves are at breaking point. The tension makes your head throb. You have been listening for sounds of pursuit for so long that you can no longer tell whether the distant muffled commands and the dull echo of a great gong that seems to sound every time you set off down another turn in the staircase is real or imagined. So for a pause, just turning pages. At last and foxglove, got it. Do a monotonous load drone. Yeah. At last you reach the 3rd halls, the huge halls of the 3rd tier. The atmosphere is filled with smoke that burns the lungs until you become used to it. At least the braziers burning everywhere mean you can conceal the torch of lumen for the time being. Together with the smoke you become aware of a constant hum in the background. This puzzled you for some time until you realize it is the everyday noise of the denizens of the 3rd tier going about a multiplicity of mundane tasks, the sound of their voices and the scuffing of their shoes blended with many thousands of other noises into a monotonous low drone. Foxglove is with us indeed. Foxglove has kept going well. She makes little sound, but her soft footfall lets you know that she is still right behind you. We are not disguised as dark elves. Furthermore, we are not disguised as a shambler with Foxglove disguised as our slave. We are, in fact, relying on stealth alone. And I think the descriptions here might differ slightly to make this make a little more sense. Crossing, undead warlord. Oh, yeah, this is different. Okay, so this is an alternate version of this section for if Foxglove is with us. You are crossing a dark cavern with fluted arches meeting at points in the ceiling. Hanging from each of the points is a skeleton, a grim reminder of the fate that befalls many here in the eternal darkness. A whispered warning comes to your sensitive ears. "Assassin!
Challenge or slay? Another whispers, Wait, what is a beauty like her doing here in the eternal dark? There are at least 2 of them in the cavern who understand the common tongue. You know that they are about 12 meters ahead of you. As opposed to the version here where we're being asked if we know these people, which we blatantly do. So let's go to converse with them. 338. Foxglove stays back as you tell them urgently that you are none other than the warlord of Cast Edge, and of your quest to rescue Glaivas, your ranger friend. As soon as you speak, their attitude towards you changes, and you have the opportunity to study them closely. If you've played Book 2 of Assassin, Defeat the Undead Warlord, yes, so 78 instead of 18, but I imagine they will be similar and it may converge again at this point. These people are familiar. You take off your face coverings and greet them, to equal measures of surprise and relief. They are Eris, the magician, Tybalt and Tafleur, both priests, and Vespers, a swordsman. You saved them from a terrible predicament. They are dressed now as then, Vespers in a grey surcoat with an unfurled scroll picked out in white thread across his chest. Your studies in the library at Cast have since revealed that this is the insignia of a reverencer of the god Gauss. Tybalt, dressed in his white robe with its red cross, is a worshipper of Avatar, the one supreme principle of good, while Tafleur, whose robe is green and white with a white cross, reveres Illustra, goddess of life, as consort of Avatar. Eris, the magician, whom you remember as a strange, capricious fellow, is a little nervous at the sight of you. The 5-spoked wheel on his robe indicates that he follows Bayatan the Free. The 5 spokes are 5 of the 10 arrows of limitless possibility that tend towards good rather than evil. You know and can trust these men. Now that they recognize you, they step forwards to embrace you in turn, hungry for news. You tell them much, and in return they pass on some useful information. The 4 adventurers are here in the rift, for a purpose not merely to loot or to slay evil creatures. You have enemies in common. They are hunting free worshippers of the chaos god Anarkil, Diochev, Form, and Cassandra, the very people who seek your downfall. Tybalt tells the story of how the evil free dared to venture into the great cathedral to Illustra and kill the powerful high priestess before her own altar. We do remember that from Book 2. Tafleur persuaded his friends to seek out and destroy the evil trio, whom they now suspect is somewhere on the 4th tier or below. Now, different. We're now asked, is Foxglove with you? We can join them or leave. So I imagine at the next section, 198, we may see some of 4 adventures here in the rift. Yeah, so that was bound into the previous section. 386 is Foxglove with you section, which we've already established. So in the old book that may be a duplicate version? Yeah. Okay. And now I think we're back on track to full convergence once again. Can only not mess up. Yeah, okay. So, identical section. Good. They ask who Foxglove is, and you're about to tell them when Foxglove butts in. I was brought up to the worship of Nemesis, supreme principle of evil. I became a servant of the evil usurper of Cast. Then, when Avenger became overlord, I served faithfully, but to no avail. I was cast out of the city and blamed for its sack. I wished to renounce the faith of Nemesis. She looks beseechingly at the kind face of Taflur, priest of Illustra. You can already see Taflur... Ah! They've spelling of a U now instead of a W. You can already see Taflur softening towards her. Will you warn them against Foxglove's enchantments? Absolutely. We have first-hand experience. And now she will know her enchantment against us has failed. They heed your warning and tell Foxglove not to speak unless spoken to. Tybalt says, by your actions we shall judge you in the name of Avatar the One. Foxglove appears frightened of him and keeps quiet, apart from beseeching them to protect her from danger. We can continue with them, or say, may fate smile upon you, and go our separate way, taking Foxglove with us, and saving them from her wiles. For now, we will accompany them. Our goals seem to align, but we'll have to keep an eye on Foxglove, in case she tries to cause any more trouble. The adventurers believe that Cassandra, Chuchev and Form are somewhere on the 4th tier. It is a long way between the 3rd and 4th tiers and takes some time for you to find a way down. Evidently, there are few connecting tunnels and stairways, so the deeps are easily defensible against the attacks of the Sunlanders in the unlikely event of an invasion of the Twilight Realms be attempted. You see no further sign of any trouble and skillfully evade detection until at last you find your way that leads down to the 4th tier. And I think this section 76, Foxglove is indeed still with us. Oh, is she going to try it on with one of them again? Or is she just going to warn us? Oh no, she's just going to warn us. Right, okay. The tunnel you're in leads to a balcony above a great, open, underground plaza. In the plaza are rows of guruka trees, a cross between trees and mushrooms which flourishes in larger spaces. Hang on. Blur. Oh, I see. Yeah. Not a physical cross. That makes more sense now. Right. The tunnel you're in leads to a balcony above a row of great underground plaza. In the plaza are rows of guruka trees, a cross between trees and mushrooms which flourish in large spaces underground, nourished by the bacteria and guano of bats and other creatures. They are like great still beasts, contorted into grotesque shapes and entwinings, as if they had been writhing together when the sun suddenly went out and they were robbed of movement. The plaza is lit so brightly by furnaces and blazing fires that your eyes, long accustomed to torchlight, are dazzled. The plaza is busy. This is the main route from the 3rd to the 4th tier down the Fire Giant's stair. There are no guards to be seen, just a steady bustle of people coming and going. At the far side of the plaza, the largest tunnel and stairway you have ever seen lead down out of the sight. Foxglove warns you not to attempt to descend the Fire Giant's stair, for it is guarded at its halfway point by actual giants. They are blind, but folklore tells that the Fire Giants of the stair are gifted with a sixth sense, that they can sense anyone who should not be on the stair, and then will hurl flaming boulders and smash the trespassers under their iron clubs. In this way, subjects who have no business leaving the lower tiers are kept down just as interlopers are kept out. Foxglove implores you all to search for the secret stairs that lead to the 4th tier. We will absolutely take her advice. Abso-flippin-lutely. It takes more than a day to find an alternative to the Fire Giant's stair. Only by covertly watching the thieves of the Twilight World, mainly elves and orcs, who have their own thieves' cant, unlike any language you have heard, do you discover a secret doorway in a rock face. It takes a little while to discover how the mechanism works, but at last you swing the rock aside and begin to descend. Here we go. We're finally making progress, allegedly. The twisting, turning tunnel soon branches into myriad other tunnels and caves. Mercifully, this means you may avoid encountering the thieves of the Twilight World. A sinister shadow moving on a nearby wall makes you start, but when you look again, it is gone. You listen, but all you can hear is the soft susurration of your own breathing. In and out, in and out, in and out, like the tides in the sea. Yes, not like the tides of the sea, like the tides and the sea, because that's from the Only Fools and Horses theme song, and that line is always a bit awkward. Passing a small alcove, Eris's keen eyes catch sight of a strange samovar encrusted with large sapphires. It is about 60 centimeters tall and made of solid gold. He picks it up and examines it, marveling at its beauty, but he can find no magic in it. It is passed from hand to hand, and you are invited to hold the priceless object. No, we're not here for a jewel-encrusted samovar. We're here to rescue our friend, Glaivas, the Ranger. We will not take a look, as this is a deadly trap, a two-part trap, but yeah. A two-part trap with some 3 or 4 pieces to it. Well, we'll just pass on by. We know exactly what is inside that, even if I never fell victim to it myself. At last the stairs stop in a great dimly lit hallway of dressed stone. A magnificent and sinister sight greets you. Away to the left is a huge archway, and beyond it a succession of carven thrones with statues of the former rulers of this part of the bowels of Orb. In the shadows you can glimpse apparitions, the sight of which would freeze the blood of ordinary folk. To the right is a tall but very narrow tunnel, so narrow that it will admit only one abreast. Of the 4 adventurers, the one called Vespers the Swordsman wishes to enter the Way of Thrones, and Eris is already walking towards the archway. We will warn them against this, as Cassandra warned us. And we shall not enter the Way of Carven Thrones, because it's an auto-kill, just as we were instructed. The narrow way continues in a straight line for many hundreds of meters without opening out or offering any openings. Towards its end it climbs slightly, and when you are halfway up the incline, the floor tilts suddenly and pitches you all forwards onto your face in a small, well-lit room hung with lush tapestries. When you stand and look around, you receive something of a shock. Well, not necessarily. We were expecting them, after all. You have fallen straight into the arms of a reception committee. Arranged in a semicircle around you are 3 people you recognize only too well. Directly opposite you is a tall, wiry man whose frame is draped in a black cloak. The only hint of colour is his very curly hair, which is dyed bright corn yellow. He hefts a bastard sword almost negligently in one hand. On his right is a man in flowing grey robes covered with runes. He sports a large golden earring and has a look of devious intelligence and a smile of anticipation. On the other side is Cassandra, sword drawn, haughty as ever, her bristling hair as dishevelled as her patchwork armour appears to be. The other 2 are her friends and your deadly enemies, Jutchev the thief and a blade master, and Form, master of illusion and potent mage. They must have guessed that you would come this way. Jutchev too has found the secret stairway, and, knowing that you could not descend the fire giant's stair, they have lain in wait for you here. They have done well to penetrate so deeply into the bowels of Orb. And at some point in the not-too-distant future, I believe we're going to need to switch to the physical book once again. Given that it's nearly 9 in the morning, and I may need to stop, so I'm going to try not to. There we go. At some point after 284, check for divergence to avoid the where the fuck did Foxglove come from moment. The Chaos Bringers are ready for you, but not for the four adventurers. The look of glee on their faces fades to one of uncertainty, while the four adventurers struggle hastily to their feet with looks of plain fear in their eyes, a fear that is quickly turned to hatred as Churchev speaks. I wonder that you could dare to challenge us. You have not the power. Both Cassandra and I are more dangerous fighters than you, and you, fickle Eris, cannot rival Form's witchcraft. Tafleur begins to chant a blessing in the name of Illustra. So, that still rankles, does it? Asks Form, trying to break his concentration. Cassandra says, the High Priestess is dead. What is done cannot be undone. We have no vendetta against the followers of the Goddess of Life. You who reverence Anarchill cannot keep an idea in your head for longer than a minute at a time, says Tybalt imperiously. But we do have a vendetta against all who revere the insane god Anarchill. They are not even addressing you. The rivalry of these people must be deep set. Churchev says to Eris, Come, Eris. You worship Chaos God. Stand with us again. Cross over to the other side as you did once before, otherwise your life is run, for you cannot stand against us. And I, by which she obviously means the course of your life is run, as in it has run its full course. Lady Foxglove is indeed with us. The is she Cassandra's prisoner question has been condensed into this section to avoid... Yeah. So, 344. And this is going to get interesting. We were not enchanted by Foxglove. Vespers was not enchanted by Foxglove, and Tafleur has not been enchanted by Foxglove. Foxglove, whose powers in this situation are limited, sinks to the floor and makes herself small, hoping that when the spells start to fly, she will be overlooked. Instructed to 246 instead of 364, but I imagine they may be duplicates, and just due to the rearranging and trimming of sections in this book. 364 cannot be far away, as opposed to the amount of pages I had to turn in the physical book. Form's fingers are making the strangest patterns in the air, and Cassandra and Churchev are looking away to the side of the hall. Ah, no, this is the looking at Foxglove. Okay. So, 246. We have found our point of convergence. Ah, we've been there before. Okay, so 284, 344. Ooh. So 344. But that's not what we need, is it? It's so go back to 284 and say Foxglove is not with us. Oh, I see. That's for 364. Okay, okay. So the loop here in this one is Foxglove is with you. Is anyone enchanted? And if not, go to the Foxglove is not with you section, and then she reappears. But that's not the issue. So the issue is that if she's not with us in the first place, sorry, I want to nail this one down because it was an issue a couple of episodes, wasn't it? She's not with us. 364. So that's the loop. 364 tapestry. .364. Look at the tapestry, 194, 194. So obviously this is where the Foxglove suddenly appearing out of nowhere is an issue. Wait. 194. Sure. $106. Oh, okay, hang on. 314. Was that it? Okay. There we go. So we are at section new 246. As Foxglove is with us and has not enchanted anybody. Now, interestingly, there's a variant of that in here. If she has enchanted somebody, we can be instructed to the version where they look at Foxglove instead of the tapestry. So, since Cassandra and Chutchev are looking at Foxglove and a spell is being cast, we shall look at her too, so that we can either see what happens or avert our eyes from whatever happens in case it's very nasty. We also shall look at Foxglove. You follow their gaze, and there is an eruption of coruscating light so bright it almost stuns you into immobility. You blink and realise that Cassandra and Chuchev had expected it. They were not interested in Foxglove, merely anticipating the numbing flash that is a result of Form's sorcery. They are darting to the attack already. Chuchev's black cloak seems to deepen the darkness around him. Cassandra as ever moves with the grace and speed of a panther. The 4 adventurers have not all been as lucky as you. Vespers reacted quickly enough to shield his eyes, and Tybalt too has not been stunned, but Eris the Magician and Taflur are reeling back in a state of shock. We could throw a shuriken at Form, or move aside so we put Cassandra and Chuchev between us and the Master of Illusion, which will put us back at section 214 because Foxglove is actually with us, which is totally fine. Do we want to throw a ninja star at Form? I don't remember if that actually helps massively. I mean, it was very useful before. Okay, so that leads to the... It leads to fighting Form up close and personal again, while the adventurers deal with the Dreadful 2 for a moment. 152. Sorry, because it says 2 different versions of a book here, with significant differences at this point. Okay, we will throw a ninja star. Because it'll make things a little bit easier. Your shuriken flashes out across the hall and wounds Form in the shoulder. Cross it off your character sheet, then roll 1 die and subtract the results from Form's endurance of 12. So if we go to 194, which is the section that erroneously assumes Foxglove will always be with us at this point. 294 looks like the same section. We're not instructed to add damage here, and this leads straight to combat with Chuchev with a wound him twice. So let's mark off that ninja star, right? And we will roll that die. Oh, really? Okay, 1 whole point. A minor flesh wound indeed. Right. Where are we? So... yeah, definitely different. Okay. He is no longer performing his incantations, but Chuchev and Cassandra close on you simultaneously. Tybalt and Vespers step bravely into the breach. They are skilled fighters. Tybalt's flail whines as it whirls through the air and cracks as it smashes against Cassandra's armour. Her lightning riposte wounds the priest, but you are occupied with Chuchev, who dares to attack both you and the swordsman Vespers together. Chuchev parries the first swing from Vespers, but this causes him to leave an opening and immediately you seize it. You dive into a roll, passing to Chuchev's side and come up in front of Form, who hardly has time to react. There are scant moments to cripple the spellcaster before one of the other or more of the sword fighters are upon you. We can use the Tiger's Paw Chop, the Winged Horse Kick, or the Teeth of the Tiger Throw against Form. So... we're going off track again here. We'll absolutely go for the Winged Horse Kick because he's a fairly inexperienced warrior. heavy-duty spellcaster who won't be expecting this quite so much. I mean, he's seen us fight a little bit before, but hasn't really been able to study us. So, we require 2 successful attacks. Otherwise he's... reduce him to 2 endurance or less if you've not succeeded after 2 attacks. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're kicking. Make a note of how many times you attack the mage. He raises his hands before you and they turn into a magical heat. You twist and lash your foot at his side, avoiding the feeble defense. His defense against the winged horse kick is 5. He has 11 endurance. But we could do as little as 3 damage. I'm going to throw away a point of inner force here. And pray I don't regret it. And our kick modifier is +2, which is... I didn't need to change windows there. There we go. An 8 absolutely hits. So we will get a regular kick for d6 +2. 7, double to 14 for inner force. Absolutely takes him down to 2 points or less. Let's take him off the list. We have reduced him to 2 endurance points or less, so we turn to new section 66. And this is where, when I was previously playing, I messed up and turned to the if you have not succeeded after 2 attacks, reading that as like if you have succeeded within 2 attacks, and messed up and took a massive amount of damage. Form staggers back, clearly near to death, but you sense movement at your back. Quickly you grab him in a whirlpool throw and pitch him into Cassandra, who had been about to strike at your head. She scowls, regains her balance, and goes to tip a potion down Form's throat, which is excellent. It keeps her occupied. If you've arrived here in the company of a band of adventurers, we absolutely have. The battle has been going poorly for your companions. Tybalt is wounded, but is being tended by Taflur, while Eris is still recovering from the blinding flash. Vespers struggles against Tyutchev, but the black dark cloak he wears is imbued with a magic that makes it difficult to tell just how close he is. Vespers has not struck him once, and soon will fall if you do not come to his aid. In the second that your eyes are elsewhere, Cassandra produces a throwing knife and sends it flying towards your heart. It is only your quick reflexes that allow you to dodge the attack and rush to support Vespers. Tyutchev seems not to care that he now has to defend himself against both you and the swordsman, Vespers. He seems more intent on killing you first. At this point, we are asked if we wish to use the Cobra Strike Punch, which takes us to section 334, which is essentially a mirror of this. So 294, 334, it's this section here. But hang on, 7, 9, 294, 8. Ooh, so if we don't throw the Ninja Star in the old version, we get a much better fight against Tyutchev. Whereas if we do throw it, we get it a bit weaker. So we'll go to the new 334 and use this one because it is favourable. Especially 3 rounds of combat. If still alive at the end of the 3rd round, wound Tyutchev twice. Because in the new book, it's much harder. Allow me to explain. In the new book, we do not need to wound Tyutchev twice. We need to reduce him to 3 endurance or less in 3 attacks. So in 3 attacks, we need to deal 17 points of damage, which basically means using inner force every single time. And it's a fully structured multi-fight combat. I think I'm going to go with the just try to hit him twice option, because that's going to be hard enough. Ah, this is the Cassandra was threatening Foxglove section. I see. And at 294. So, Churchev will have a defense against us of 7. And we're just trying to hit him twice. We're probably not going to take him out. You know what, though? Since this is basically the last fight of the foot book, I can throw all my inner force in here, because we get it back at the beginning of the next book anyway. So, we will take our... Oh, this is an interesting one. This is just defense against our martial arts. Doesn't say if we're punching or kicking, so I'm going to presume we just get to choose. Well, the general presumption would actually be we don't get to choose at all and we're just rolling, but I'll make it a kick because it gives us a chance. Oh, that is brutal. Okay, and we need to hit twice in 3 rounds. Okay. Well, he's going to strike back. And he does. We'll take the hit because we can't afford the attack penalties. So he does 10 damage with his sword. Oh god, are we going to die here? I don't know. Let's find out. So we will kick again. And absolutely, I should... Okay, 1 plus 2. 6 damage. We can deal 6 damage, that's fine. Maybe I should have done the new version of this fight. Who knows? And then he will fail to get above our defense of 9, which is excellent. So now we just need this kick to land. Oh, fuck off! Fuck off, that didn't count. Wow. Dice. Really? 5, 7, 5, clustering on the 5. We'll do 6 more rolls and then reset, then do a proper roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 10, 10, 13, 7, 9, 11. So clustering on the 10 significantly. Yeah, okay. There we go. Oh, hang on. What? It's... Hang on. And we'll clear dice, because map tools dice can be sticky. Then we will clear this just to reset. You know what? No, we'll close the dice box. Reopen. A 9. Got that first time, right? Oh my god. Sometimes the dice just hate me. 8 damage. Hey, 8 damage is good. Okay. And that is our second successful hit. Just imagine how hard it would be in the new version of the book to attempt to deal 17 points of damage in 3 combat rounds when he has, I think, higher defense as well. You know, it's like a really high, it's really tough. Okay. But we have been very successful, and that will be to our advantage. We have wounded him twice. As soon as we wound him twice, we turn to section 309. And in one of the sections in this book, these are... Yeah. You're about to finish Churchev off when Tybalt crashes into you. He is losing his battle with Cassandra, who has a killing light in her eyes. You steady him and move towards Cassandra. Eris and Tafleur are recovering now, but Form is about to cast another spell. You have knocked a pouch from Churchev's belt, which you quickly retrieve. Note that you have Churchev's belt pouch. Suddenly you notice the tapestry at one side of the room begin to ripple as if in a wind, almost as if there was no wall behind it at all. And we have a new item. and we'll get to look into that later on. In fact, it was not until something like 20 years later, when Book 7 was published, that anyone got to find out what was actually in that belt pouch. The authors may have known back when they wrote this, as part of some grand plan. They may have decided, they may have just decided it's going to be a key item in Book 7, and we got a rough idea. We don't know, right? It's cool. Now, ooh, big picture of big monster. The tapestry down one side of the hallway is ripped aside and torn to shreds by the most colossal being imaginable. It is the Krafak, the beast Foxglove referred to when she spoke of a being as large as a city. It is too large for you to guess at its dimensions. Its shape is like a chameleon, with huge pincers and claws and feeding tentacles around its cavernous maw. Everyone cries out in panic and begins to run. The Krafak is not alone. There is a howdah behind its head. It is being driven by dark elves in red robes, which we know means they are sorceresses. These are the personal bodyguard of the Black Widow. It seems she has decided you shall venture no deeper than the 4th tier. You join the flight away from a monster at the far end of the hall. A hail of arrows discourages thoughts of taking a stand, but a bolus thrown by one of the Black Widow's bodyguards twines around your legs and knocks you to the floor. You hear Cassandra shout, "The World Worm! It's our only chance!" Disentangling the bowler's twine, you set off in pursuit of the others as the beast bears down on you. Churchev has reached the far end of the hall and is opening a large, secret door. Like all seasoned campaigners, the Chaosbringers chose their ground well, and have prepared a way to retreat. They are indeed very good at this. And I'm going to presume those two figures are not the Chaosbringers running away, although that would kind of make sense. They seem to be running, towards the creature. And this, of course, is the furthest we got, because last time we played proper, we were felled by Churchev's blade in that standoff. It came really close. The end of the hallway slides back to reveal a bowl-shaped cavern running with fire. It is the lair of the world worm, which fables tell has its head in the rift here, and a body that stretches all the way around Orb, through the roots of the mountains, and a tail that reaches to the very centre of Orb. In the middle of the bowl is what looks like a gigantic statue of a snake's head, its mouth open, showing great curving fangs. Churchev does not hesitate, for there is no other way out of the cavern. He leaps into the statue's open mouth and is lost to view. You sprint towards the statue as the Krafak's sinking breath bathes you and its footfalls shake the earth. Soon everyone has jumped into the statue's mouth. Cassandra is the last, just ahead of you. As she leaps, there is a cracking noise, and the statue turns to grey-green scaly flesh. The world worm is coming to life. As quick as thought, Cassandra thrusts her blade into the roof of the world worm's mouth to prevent its closing upon her. In the next instant, you have leapt up beside her. The Krafak is not far behind you. Will we attempt a killing blow against Cassandra? Her sword is holding the roof of this thing's mouth up. No, we're not going to do that. Or run into the belly of a worldworm. It seems our only reasonable choice. And errata at the end of paragraph 420. Yeah, so there are no sections after 420 in the physical, but it's all kind of mirrored because they've trimmed stuff out anyway. So, if you have captured Cassandra's sword before setting out the rift, well, no, we let her keep it. And that's section 420. If Cassandra's sword has not been captured, the player should turn to 424, not 423. An obvious printing error in the old book. From the worldworm's maw you plunge down a dark tunnel of ridged stone towards its belly, but the worldworm no longer has what passes for stomach and tail. Instead, you fall out of a jagged hole in its body into a pitch-black void. The wind whistles past your ears as you fall ever faster into darkness. The cries of the others sound below you. Cassandra tries to grab hold of you but loses her grip, and you hear her cursing fervently in despair as her god will not help her. You try to call upon Quan the Redeemer, but you still fall. Then you are wreathed in a gossamer thread as smooth as silk that slows your descent to the middle of orb. You fall more slowly now until at last you come gently to rest in a great cocoon of silk. A pale and sickly light looms above you, and a great heaving body begins to scuttle closer to you on 8 hairy black legs. You have fallen into the web of the Black Widow, whose minions have driven you to this pass. Here, on the 7th tier, you will make a juicy morsel for the Queen of Evil, unless you can master your despair and somehow rid Orb of its darkest blight. And here, in the final book of the original 6-book series, we have the words "The End" in bold. Let's just compare for a moment, okay, to the new version, which is obviously somewhat different. Here on the 7th tier you will make a juicy morsel for the Queen of the Evils of the Rift unless you can master your despair and somehow survive the darkest blight of Orb. Continued in The Way of the Tiger 7, Redeemer. Now, there is a plan afoot. All of you, well, some of you, at least one, I think more than one, said it would be interesting to hear my thoughts on the book at the end. And I think I'm going to put that in a separate video. Purely because I might not have much longer to record, and it'll give me a little more time to gather my thoughts. Now, I have been speaking out on some things already over the course of this playthrough, like the "where the fuck did Foxglove come from" moment in the original printing. Yeah, that was an issue. So yeah, I have lots of thoughts. This book seems to fall into the middle of a trilogy that's only really there to set up the final part trap, but not quite as badly as some other trilogies have done. Also, it's not a trilogy. But yeah, I'll take some time, gather my thoughts, record them tomorrow night. So tomorrow there'll be a thoughts on Book 6 of Way of the Tiger video and some other video as well, just so we get a gameplay video at the same time. Probably another Lost in the Open episode, because I haven't recorded that for a little while and I really should. Okay, well, we've made it till the end, and for many of us, this was the end of the series for a number of decades. For me, Book 5 was the end of the series because I didn't have a copy of Book 6 and wasn't overly aware that it existed for a while. So for me, defeating what's his name? Oh no. That is bad, isn't it? Honoric. I did not have to go look it up. I came really close. Yeah, defeating Honoric at the end of Book 5 was the end of the series, and it felt like a odd end. But years later, when I discovered Book 6, it was great to see the Chaos Bringers came back. They made magnificent returning villains. It was lovely to see them again. I like the fact that they planned things out. For a bunch of chaotic characters, they still, for the most part, cooperate and plan and work together. They bicker and squabble and have their fallings out, which is where their chaotic nature comes in. But again, remember, this is first edition alignment, not second edition alignment. First edition alignment is... Right. During late first edition, through early second edition, into early third edition, there was a certain type of player... I should save this for the summing up thoughts video, but there was a certain type of player who would loudly, during character creation, say, I don't think I should have a character alignment, I hate character alignments, I think the character alignment system is stupid, I don't want something on my character sheet telling me what my character should do and how my character should behave. Only in second edition was alignment absolutely governing character behavior. In first edition, alignment is not behavior, it's not character personality, it's character attitude, and specifically attitude towards societal models. It does not tell you how to behave in any given situation. It is a default opinion to fall back on if you're not sure what your character should do. And, most importantly, it is an opinion, right? You can play a character whose behavior differs vastly from their opinion. For instance, you could blatantly play a lawful thief, right? You could play a character who believes that crime is wrong and nobody should do it, but they're just so poor and desperate that they have to get by, and they can't see another way out of their situation. There's no good job opportunities or something, right? There are reasons why. You know, at one point, when we were going to give Hackmaster a go, I rolled up a lawful fighter who was alcoholic with a gambling problem, right? And you'd be like, wait, he gets drunk and does crazy things, right? And he keeps gambling all away with his money and getting into massive gambling debts. Isn't gambling chaotic? You're gambling on an issue. Yeah, absolutely, right? But, you know, in terms of the alignment definitions and concept, chaotic person is not someone who's silly, random, and oh look, I did something funny. No, that's just the second edition alignment descriptions, which are bonkers. No, a chaotic alignment description means a person who doesn't like an ordered society and is basically an anarchist, right? They're like, no, fuck the police, right? I should do what I want, right? In which case, gambling isn't necessarily that chaotic, right? You know, the chaotic person believes that the rights of the individuals supersede those of the society as a whole, right? And that's not evil. You know, or necessarily being out for himself. It's like, hey mate, you know what? Don't let them tell you what to do. You do what you want, right? It's freedom, right? Whereas the lawful person is like, I feel that, you know, if there are police, there's less crime. That's a good thing, right? We should probably all behave. Doesn't mean we have to slavishly follow, but whatever, right? So it's all well and good. Different attitudes for different people. So yeah. So going back to the warrior with an alcohol problem and a gambling problem and massive debts, yeah, you know what? He doesn't like being an alcoholic. He doesn't like having a gambling problem. It's just compulsive. And afterwards he feels guilty and, you know, repents and feels horrible and is like, I'm never going to do that again until the next time, you know. If he was less altruistic and less lawful, he could do the exact same things, but he wouldn't be that upset by it. It'd be like, okay, yeah, I just fell off the wagon a bit. If he's neutral, if he's like totally evil or something, be like, fuck it, I'm just going to indulge. I spent some money, I had a good time, great. Oh, now I don't have any, I've got to go get some more, probably go beat up some old grannies or something. You know, it's horrible. So yeah, third edition redefined alignments back to the first edition versions, and a lot of players needed to have this explained to them because they were still obsessed with the second edition alignment definitions, Well, no, they weren't even... They were obsessed with the idea of hating alignment telling you what to do when it wasn't telling you what to do, and had not for a very long time. But yeah. Alignment on orb seems to be very clear cut, right? It's very obvious when someone is good or evil. A lot of characters wear their allegiance openly, and that kind of goes back to first edition with alignment languages, where every character could speak their native starting languages, any bonus languages from high intelligence, and the language of their alignment. So like lawful good was Latin, chaotic neutral was Old Norse, essentially. Chaotic good, I think, might have been Greek. Essentially, it was the religious language of your church, your doctrine, the way that people with a similar outlook on life could communicate to each other. And alignment languages were supposed to be secret and not used very openly, but you could just occasionally go, "Hey, I'm gonna talk a little chaotic good to see if he understands me." Like, okay, cool, yeah, we get along, or whatever, right? And you weren't supposed to be able to learn alignment languages on your own. And yes, the detect alignment spell still existed, but it was just a quick little way you could check if someone was your own alignment. Of course, they didn't have to respond. Or they could respond in a different language saying, "What are you talking about?" To hide their alignment language didn't mean they would be compelled to use it in response to you. It's like if I talk to a French person and I ask, and he can speak French and English, and I ask him in English, "Do you speak English?" He could just say in French, "I'm sorry, I don't speak English," and I'd be like, "Oh no, I've got to find another French person to talk to," right? I mean, I know enough French to say that I don't speak French, and say my name, and to ask the way to the train station or something. It's like, it's been years since I've needed to speak French. Anyway, I'm going to end the episode here before I get interrupted and have to stop. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and I'm going to say now, just before I end, that the plan is to do the Thoughts on Book 6 video. Then we'll go to Book 0, the prequel, as a flashback. As Avenger hangs in the web of the Great Spider, he'll think over this past adventure from years ago and go, "Oh wow, that was such a long time ago." And then, when he comes out of that reverie, we'll go into Book 7 to wrap it all up and have the big grand finale. Alright. Hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all next time. And I really wish I'd thought of We're All Ninjas back at the beginning of Book 1, instead of only just now in Book 6. So, one more time for Book 6. We're all ninjas.